Good evening, all. Please confirm that I'm audible. Someone confirm with the thumbs up that I'm audible. Okay, thank you, Liz. Uh, Evening, all, once again. Welcome to our free introductory webinar for Archicad and day 5 by our tutor, Mr. Kelvin Munyoro. The course is offered by GBA, and in this webinar, it will just be an introduction where you also get to ask any questions in regards to the software, in regards to the program, and any clarification that you may need from the team or from the tutor. And I'm seeing the attendance is quite low, but we'll not waste any more of your time. We'll just simply start with our tutor. I believe these are the people who are interested as we wait for the rest to join. Uh, they'll have the recording after the session is done. So I will welcome our tutor, Mr. Kelvin Munyoro, to take us through what he has for us tonight. And feel free to ask any question. Those who are not yet in our main group, I'll be sharing the link. And also those who wish to enroll for the course, you can also enroll through the link that I'll share in a few. Thank you, Mr. Kelvin. The floor is yours. Mr. Kevin, I think you're on mute.
Oh, hi everyone. How are you? Thank you so much at Captain for that introduction. And I must say I'm quite confused because of the posters I'm seeing. I don't know if you're supposed to be starting with Archicad or D5. Maybe at Captain can clarify on that before we move forward. Mhm. Okay. So just as Captain has said, my name is Kevin Munyoro, and I am an architectural technician, a BIM manager, and also a 3D visual artist, that is architectural visual artist. And I mostly work with architects to make sure their projects are visualized clearly using floor plans and also renders. I'm sure you know that I'll be taking you through D5 renders, D5 render in the next session. So without wasting much time, I'm going to go right into it. Let me start by sharing my screen. So I'm hoping that everyone can see my screen. Maybe someone can confirm from the chat if you can see my screen. Good, perfect. So what is D5? What is Archicad? And I'm sure most of you who are here are in the construction industry, or rather learning about construction. I'm sure you have heard about Archicad. So what is Archicad? Archicad is a powerful architectural design software that has been developed by a company known as Graphisoft, and it is used by architects and designers to create and model building projects within a single integrated platform. That is, I'm sure the older architects, maybe you can confirm from the architects that you know, earlier on used to use 2D softwares, that is the likes of AutoCAD, to do their projects. and then later on maybe move to a 3D visualization software, maybe like SketchUp. But now that is over. With Graphisoft, with Archicad, you're able to do both of them in one software. You're able to do the 2D drafting and the 3D drafting in one place. And that is what Archicad does. So who uses Archicad, and who are the professionals that use Archicad, and how do they use it? So I'm going to start by architects. Architects are the ones who are known to use Archicad mostly, and it is used to design, model, and document projects. That is what architects use Archicad for. Also, it's used by technicians like me, myself, I'm a technician. That is to produce accurate working drawings, construction details, and technical documentations. And also it's used by interior designers. Maybe anyone in the chat box can confirm if we have interior designers in the building, they can also use Archicad for their projects to create interior layouts, furniture arrangement, and presentation drawings. And it is also used by landscape architects. These are the people who design landscapes. That is to design outdoor spaces, site layouts, and landscape features. And also the construction managers in the building. They use Archicad to review drawings. That is the drawings that they receive from maybe the architects and the interior designers to review drawings and to coordinate projects. That is to improve communication during construction. And it is also used by building consultants to analyze and review building designs for compliance and coordination. And for most of you who are students here, it is used by architecture students and educators to learn architectural design principles and prepare for professional practice. I'm sure most of you who are in campus, maybe doing architecture or interior designs, you have been introduced to Archicad. Maybe someone can confirm from the chat box how many of you have just interacted with Archicad by the show of hands. Oh, Yusuf. So I can see from the chat box that very few have interacted with Archicad, and that is why we as GBA, we are here to offer that training to you. So we are going to be having 2 sessions, or rather 2 lessons per week. Every week, I'm informed that we're going to. I'm looking at the timetable, and it's maybe on Friday and Wednesday. Maybe I'll confirm. And this is what we are going to be going through in the course of those 5 weeks. On week 1, lesson 1, we are going to be going through installing and setting up of Archicad. I'm sure most of you want to know how to install it, or maybe I can do a video, maybe Art Captain can confirm, can tell us how we can go through this. Maybe I'll create a video installing the software and share with you, so that we don't waste much time installing the software in our first lesson. So in the first lesson, we are going to also cover to create our first project in Archicad. And we're also going to start learning about the Archicad user interface. That is the work environment. And what is the Archicad work environment? For that, I'm going to be opening a project that I've done with Archicad and show you what the Archicad work environment maybe is. So let me share my screen on Archicad, and in a minute, sharing share. And I hope everyone can see my screen. I'm hoping everyone can see my screen. Perfect. So what I mean by the Archicad work environment is whatever you are seeing on the screen. All these objects that you are seeing on the screen, maybe the wall tool, the slab tool, columns, we are going to learn how to use them. And that is what we are going to be doing in our first lesson on Archicad. So from there, let me maybe go back to my presentation. Structure. Share. Can you see my screen? So that is what we are going to be doing on the first lesson. We are going to be learning about the work environment, the toolbox, the tools that you get to use within Archicad. We're also going to learn about the project navigator, the info box. That is the information of your project. That is where we insert the information of your project in the info box. The pet palette that helps you to design in Archicad, and the project tracker. And after that lesson, we are going to do a practical exercise. We are going to be doing a lot of this. That is, after every lesson, we are going to be having a practical. Make sure that you get the concepts that we'll have learned in those lessons. We are going to do a practical exercise of installing and creating your first project, that is, and saving it, which is very important. I'm also going to teach you how to save your project, because I remember when I was employed, I used to know how to draft, but I didn't know how to save my project correctly, to a point that I was working for a full day, and at the end of the day, I had not saved my project, and power, I lost power, and I had to redo that project. So it's very important to learn how to save your project. That is one of the most important skills you learn in any software, because at the end of the day, you'll need to retrieve that project. So at Captain, you've also lost your project because of not saving. So we are going to learn about that. On lesson 2, on the first week, we are going to be navigating the Archicad workspace, and you realize that Archicad is a very wide software, so you need to learn it strategically. So from installing and creating your first project, we are going to be understanding the user working interface, starting from the project map. The project map, I'll be showing that in a few. The view map and the layout book. The layout book is where you store your floor plans after creating them. You want to put them in maybe in a PDF. That is where you organize your PDFs in your project, even the 3Ds. So we are going to be learning about that. And we're also going to be learning about the navigation tools. You realize that Archicad is a very engaging software. You need to learn how to navigate comfortably. That is, we learn how to zoom, pan, orbit, that is, and navigate through the 3D models. We're also going to learn about how to create walkthroughs. And then on the same lesson, we are going to learn about the arrow tool, the MQ, that is the selection tool, the editing commands, and the most important tool every designer can tell you, that is the copy and pasting. I think that's very basic. We are going to be learning about that and how you can take advantage of that in your projects to make your work easier. We're also going to be learning about movement of the 3D projects, that is moving and rotating, mirroring, multiplying. These things might look not important, but they are very important to learn them because they help you in creating your projects. And then on the same lesson, you are going to be learning about the units that you use. You'll understand that many areas use different units. You can maybe in Kenya we use millimeters, but in Uganda they might be using meters for their project. So we are going to be learning about setting up units. We're also going to be learning about scale and working with working units. And we're also going to be working with dimensions, that is placing dimensions in your projects. And then we are going to be learning about story settings. You realize that when you're creating a multi-story building, you have to set your stories right. So we are going to be learning about setting those heights and all that. That is on lesson 2. And after that, we are going to do a practical exercise just to make sure that you get all those concepts that you have learned in that lesson. So we'll do a practical exercise to navigate comfortably. That is, you'll create a 2D, just a simple 2D presentation of a project while customizing your workspace. So that will be all for week 1. And you realize that we have a lot to cover within the period of 5 weeks. So I'll be maybe request that those of you who will join will keep time. And I hope we'll do that well. So on week 2, we are going to be learning how to create professional architectural drawings. That is starting with the floor plans. That is on lesson 3. We will be creating floor plans. You realize that creating floor plan will include using the wall tool. So we learn the wall tool, the slab tool, the beam tool, the column tool. And we'll also learn about the drawing aids. These are the things that help you to communicate your projects well. That is using the grid lines. I'm sure anyone in the construction industry, or rather in the construction class, know what a grid line is. So we are going to be learning about how to use them and also to insert them in our projects because they are very important. And we're also going to be learning about guidelines, snap points, and reference lines. And from there, on the same lesson, we're going to be learning about editing elements, such as stretching objects. You realize that you'll have spaces that you need to stretch your objects to fit in your project, and we'll be learning about that. You're also going to be learning about trimming objects. Maybe you have a long wall and you want to trim it to fit your desired design. So we are going to be learning about that also. We're also going to be learning about how to split, offset. All these might seem very very ambiguous, but we are going to cover them. We're also going to be learning about grouping elements. Maybe you have a lot of walls. It's very advisable when you're working in Archicad projects to group your elements as you're working. Maybe you have walls with the same characteristics. You need to group them under one criteria. So we'll be learning about how to group those. Then comes the most important bit in the Archicad software, and it is layering. So what is layering? So when you're working with Archicad, you need to be in control of what you're seeing at all times. There are times you're going to be needing to see just the site plan and not the floor plan. So how do you control that? There are times you're wanting to see the floor plan and not the site plan. And mind you, all of this is in one project. So you need to be in control of that. So we are going to be learning about creating layers and layer combinations and how to make them visible and invisible, locking them and all that. So after that, that is lesson 1 in week 2. We are calling it lesson 3 of the whole course. After that lesson, we are going to draw a complete residential ground floor, just a basic floor plan to make sure you have gotten those concepts, maybe of most important, the layering concept, which will be very important as we proceed. Then on lesson 4, that is on week 2, we are going to be learning about how to insert doors. I'm seeing someone, it's at Captain, who is saying, kumbe nina mengi ya kusoma. You know, at Captain, they say the more you learn, the more you know how much you don't know. The more you know how much you don't know. That is the paradox of learning. So we learn. So in lesson 4, we are going to be learning about doors, how to insert doors, windows, and building components. That is, we're going to be learning about how to use the door tools, the window tools, and most important tool, the stair tool. This might be someone who has interacted with Archicad. The stair tool is a bit complex. It's not just inserting it. So we are going to be learning how to do the stairs the professional way. There is the quirky way that most people use to do it, but now there is a professional way to do stairs in Archicad. We're also going to be learning about the railing tool. That is, the staircase railing, the balcony railings, we are going to be doing that. Then also on, you have a story on that, on your final year project. That is the staircase story. It might be very complex, but when you learn it and master it, it becomes very easy. So after that, we are going to be learning about the roof tool, how we start the different roof types. That is from the gable roof, the hip roof, the complex roof. All these roofs that you see on estates, that you see on houses as you pass through estates, we are going to be trying to build that. I'm going to show you a cheat code that I used to create that. Maybe, I don't know if Atwales is here, he knows that cheat code that we use. So I'm going to be teaching that. I'm also going to be teaching about the shell tool. What is the shell tool? Maybe you have come across mosques and you see that dome thing that you see on the top of the mosque. So to create that in Archicad, you use the shell tool. And also you can use it to create complex shapes in Archicad. So on lesson 4, we are going to be learning about that also. So, and we're also going to be, I spent a whole 3 hours trying it and it was approaching the deadline. Oh, I feel you, man. Not knowing how to do this thing, especially when you have a project, can be quite frustrating. Especially if you have that thing. I remember when I was in campus, I chose a mosque project. I was developing a mosque and I had to design that. And the teachers, as you know, in campus, they don't teach these things. So I had to learn it myself. And mind you, in campus, we do the projects last minute. I was learning how to create that shell tool last evening, the evening eve before we present our projects. And I learned it the hard way. So we are also going to be learning about the curtain wall. We'll be realizing that we are going to be categorizing our walls in our projects as external walls, internal walls, curtain walls, and we are going to be learning about that. And that is why I said layering is very important, because you get to control what you are seeing in your project. So that is lesson 4. Also on lesson 4, we are going to be learning about library and objects. So where we store objects, in Archicad, we call that a library of objects. So we are going to be learning about how to insert furniture, setting their levels, kitchen units, sanitary fixtures, that is on toilets, and doing some landscaping, that is with trees. We're also going to be learning how to do vehicles. Those are the basics. And people. So also on the same lesson, we are going to be learning about building materials, that is distinguishing surfaces. You realize that in one building, you might have different walls, each cladded maybe with different materials. So we are going to be learning how to distinguish those surfaces and make sure they are different, maybe to prepare that project for rendering. We're also going to be learning about composites and pens. And I'm going to insist on learning about pens, because this is what distinguishes a professional draftsman or maybe a designer from a cork, not a cork, but someone who has no experience, learning how to control your pen weight in your project. You realize, those of you who are in the design classes, you are taught about pen weights. I'm going to be taking you through this. You are taught that things that are closer to you, you need to do them with a bold pen weight. Then as you go far away, you use lighter pen weights. We are going to be looking at that. Then after that, we are going to do a practical example. Most of these practical examples will be carrying on from the previous example. So we are going to be working with one project. After we do some things, you go and update your project and submit. That is how we are going to be working with this. So on week 3, we are going to be developing a 3D building model. So you realize that all that we have been doing, that has been mostly been 2D. Now we are going to be starting to do the 3D on, on week 3. And we're going to be learning professional 3D modeling. That is on working in 3D. You realize that in Archicad we have several windows that you can work with. You have the 2D window and the 3D window. Maybe if time allows, I'm going to be showing that using a practical example. So we are going to be learning about navigating the 3D window. That is setting your camera views. Also, maybe most of you who have used Archicad have not realized that you can set camera views on your Archicad projects, and you're going to be doing that on lesson 3. Then we're also going to be setting your perspective views. Maybe in your projects, you might realize there are some faces, and this happens to every project. There are faces that look more beautiful than the others. Maybe you have emphasized your front face than the back face, and you just want to show the front face. So we are going to be setting those perspectives just to show the front face, the faces that you want shown to the clients, because we don't show everything to clients. We show the beautiful parts when we are presenting. That is the projects. So we are also going to be learning about the morph tools, and these ones I'll have to go through them with a practical example. We're also going to be having the solid element operations, that is the connection of objects. Maybe that one I'll use a practical example. We're also going to be modeling a roof in 3D. What we were doing on the other lessons on the roof were 2D presentation of roofs. So now on lesson 5, you're going to be doing the 3D modeling of a roof. That is to make it realistic in 3D. And we're also going to be doing the same shell modeling that I was saying about the mosque theme. So we are going to be showing that on 3D. And we're also going to be applying materials on what we have created on the 3D window, that is on surface settings. We're also going to be doing junction priorities. And after that, we are going to be developing a complete 3D model. That is the same model that we have been carrying on from the previous lessons. That is on the previous lessons that we are doing. Now we will create a model for that. That is on the practical exercise. On lesson 6, we are going to be doing site modeling and some a bit of interior development, that is using the mesh tool. So the mesh tool enables you to create the landscape of your project. That is the ground. You can create hills using the mesh tool. And the terrain creation, that is creating the landscape. You realize that not all projects will sit on a flat surface, so you need to model that. That is on mesh tool and the terrain creation. We're also going to work on site levels. So on roads, I'm not going to dwell on roads very much, but I'm going to be showing you how to create just a basic road, because I'm not an engineer, I'm an architect. So I'm going to be showing you how to create a basic road just to show on your projects. And the most important part of any building maybe is even the pavements. I'm going to be showing you how to create pavements. Then we are going to dive into some interior works, that is creating ceilings and interior walls. You realize that walls in the exterior look different from the interior walls, so we are going to be working around that. We're also going to be working around floor finishes. There are different types of floors. We are going to be working about those things, and also doing the furniture layouts in the models. We're also going to do this one. I need a complete lesson on doing the kitchen modeling, because these are very, very lucrative area. I have seen someone who has focused very much on creating kitchen models. That is the only thing that they do. They design kitchens. So I'm going to be spending some time here on kitchens to make sure you understand how to work around kitchens. And there are a lot of things to consider when designing kitchens. Maybe most of you have heard of the kitchen work triangle. I'm going to be looking at that. Also in that lesson, I'm also going to be taking you how to create bathrooms, the layouts. You know, even as you are designing, you need to be considerate of the workability, functionality of that house that you are creating. I remember my first project, I was in second year. I had created a very beautiful model of a house, but it was very impractical. And my lecturer looked at it and said, Kevin, you have great taste, but this is very impractical. So I'm going to be touching around that, how to make your design look practical and functional. That is on kitchens and on bathrooms, because you realize just because you have the capability to do things, you can't just do them anyhowly. Maybe, for example, you can't create a door on a wall that you want to put a TV. That will not be functional. So we are going to be looking at that. So then after that, we are going to be looking at visualization preparation. In case you want to render your project, there is a way you set your 3D and distinguish materials so that you are able to give them different looks when you go to renders. Maybe I'll take you through that when we get to D5 render presentation. We're also going to be learning about surface textures. That is how surfaces look on 3D and how we can manipulate that and come up with a very beautiful model. We're also going to be learning about how many 3D styles we have in Archicad. There are a lot of 3D styles. We're also going to be learning about how to insert shadows in your projects. And after that, we are going to do a practical exercise to complete both the site model and the building interior of the same project that we started with. So we are going to be working with one project, and as we go on, we are going to be enhancing it. And the final thing is what I'm going to be looking at as we are grading your final project. So we are going to be doing that. Week 4, that is lesson 7, we are going to dive into professional documentation, because all of that we are doing, it's a project and we need to document that, to show that in a document, maybe to show floor plans. So we are going to learn how to generate floor plans, roof plans, that is detailed floor plans with schedules, floor plans, roof plans, ceiling plans, sections. I know most of you know what sections are. Is a cutaway of a building that you want to show. Elevation is one face of a building, the 2D face of a building. We're going to be doing that. We are going to be, and I'm going to dwell more on sections and elevations, because these ones are very important. You realize that in Kenya, when you're producing drawings for approvals, you have to detail these sections the right way. I'm going to be looking at that in the lessons. And after that, we are going also to be looking on elevations, how to detail them, how to do them the professional way. You realize that they are elevations and they are professional elevations. So we are going to be learning how to produce professional elevations and professional sections. We're also going to be learning about interior elevations and detailing them. And we're also going to be learning about putting our work into worksheets in our projects. Then after that, in the same lesson, we are going to be learning about annotations. Okay, I'm seeing Captain has raised a question. Maybe you can ask your questions. Your question. Oh, I'm forgetting these things to unmute. So the difference between an elevation and a professional elevation lies on the detailing. How do you detail your elevation? There are people who just detail their elevation lightly and just show the basic things, and they are professional elevation. Maybe I'll show you an example of an elevation that has been done basically in a professional elevation. It lies with the details that you show. Maybe someone is showing even the textures on the walls. You have not shown it. You see, there is a difference. That is the difference between the professional elevation and sections and just the elevations. It lies in the details. It's the detail. It's how you do the detailing. Have I answered your question, at Captain? Perfect. I guess we can now continue. From there, we are going to be learning about annotation. Annotation is how you label your project. That is starting from dimensions. How do you put your dimension? You need to dimension your project. And dimensioning is very important. You realize when you're working on real-time projects, you don't want the fundi to keep calling you, hey, Kevin, you have not dimensioned this. What is the measurement from this to this? And you yourself, you don't know it because you are working on another project. So you need to dimension your project correctly. Then from there, we are going to learn how to label your project using text and level markers and grid lines. So I'm also going to be getting back to working with pen sets. I'm going to be talking about those pen sets because they are very important. How you set your pens, the pen thickness, pen weights, pen colors, and all that, because that all will contribute to how your project will look like at the end. Then after that, we are going to be doing a practical example on the same project that we have been carrying on from the start. Then on lesson 8, we are going to be creating layouts. That is, in Archicad, we have what we call a master layout. That is where you create a title block and all those details. And we're going to be learning about how to create those title blocks. And then you duplicate that to your worksheets. So your worksheets look the same with the same title blocks. So you're going to be doing that. You're also going to be learning about sheet numbering. You realize when you have a lot of sheets, you need to number them correctly, or else you'll end up confusing the people on site. And on that, we are going to be learning about creating door schedules. What are door schedules? These are labels of doors. Maybe you have a lot of doors in your project and all of them are different. How do you show that? How do you show them? So we are going to be learning about how to create door schedules, window schedules, and room schedules. We're also going to be doing some bit of takeoff, but I'm not going to be dwelling much on that, taking off. Then after that, you realize after you have created your PDFs and your sheets, you need to publish them, maybe for printing. And I'm going to be taking you through how to export your work maybe into PDF format or DWG format. So what is DWG export? Maybe you realize most of these projects you'll be collaborating with other professionals, maybe with the engineers. Like maybe you need to send your model to the engineer for structural detailing. You share to them, to those who use AutoCAD, you share the drawings as DWG. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that. So printing, I guess that's so basic, but you just press a button. If you're connected to a printer, it will print. So there's no much to do with that. We're also going to do a practical exercise on that. We are going to create a complete drawing package ready for presentation. So whatever we have been doing on the projects, we are going to present it on PDFs and show that on presentations. On week 5, we are going to be learning about project organization and professional workflow. and professional workflow. So as I said earlier, file organization is very key when you're doing your projects. It might look very basic, but it might cost you big time. Imagine you're having a deadline at 4 and then you lose your file midway. So I'm going to be teaching you that, and I'm also going to be taking you through backing up your project in case you had a power loss. You can retrieve your project. The good thing about Archicad, you can always retrieve your project even after a power loss. We're also going to be learning about layer standards. This one is very important. I'm highlighting the most important things because I know how much they have costed me, and you don't have to repeat the same mistakes that I did because I'm here to take you through. Then I'm going to be taking you through model cleanup, that is preparing your project for D5, cleaning up the things that you don't need in your presentation. I'm going to be taking you through material assignment. How do you assign materials to different objects, to different textures, to different walls? Then I'm going to be teaching you how to export your 3D model to D5. And D5, I'm going to be taking you through, the next session is on D5. I'm going to be taking you through that. I'm going to be teaching you about live sync. I'm also going to be taking you through quality control. You realize when you design or when you produce your drawings, it's very easy for you to forget some things. So it's very advisable after designing and doing all that presentation, you do a quality control check on your PDFs. Go through them. Maybe you have done some errors, maybe some, sorry, Omoni, your mic is on. Sorry, maybe you have done some errors in your project and it's showing in your PDF. So you need to check that before you go to printing. And that's a very good practice because you realize that printing blueprints is very expensive. And I don't know why, for one reason or another, you realize you have done a mistake when you have printed and you have spent money on printing. So it's very important to do a quality control check before printing. I'm going to be taking you through what to check and the things that most people forget before printing. Sorry. So lesson 10, that is lesson 10, we are going to do, so after that, we are going to organize and complete a project for rendering and documentation. That will be the end of that project that will be carrying on to the next lessons, So on lesson 10, we are going to, the students will do a project. They will apply everything learned through the course. We'll apply whatever we will have learned throughout the course to create a final project. And the final project will be, I'm tempted to say mansionette, but I'll make sure we incorporate maybe a mansion with a roof and a flat roofed mansion because both of them are very important and you detail them differently. So I don't know how we are going to go through that. We'll agree in class of the project we are going to do. So for the project, you'll create a detailed site plan, floor plans, a roof plan, if it is a mabati roofed house or a pitched roof. And if it's a slab roofed, you will also create a roof plan. Ceiling plans, the 4 elevations, you realize a building has 4 elevation. For the 4 sides, you're going to create a detailed elevation. And I said there is a difference between just an elevation and a professional elevation. So we are going to be creating professional elevations for the project. We're also going to be doing building sections on that same project. We're also going to be, you will also, now it is your project, you will also create a door schedule for your project and show that in a sheet, that is a PDF, that is what you'll submit. You'll do a window schedule, a room schedule, and you will organize that project in layout sheets with a professional title block showing everything. And I mean everything from the model, you put it in that sheet and submit it for the presentation. And finally, you're going to do the presentation. You'll present that project to me. Maybe you'll send it via email. We are going to organize how it will get to me. You'll present the project professionally in a review and I'll give feedback on that. So by the end of this 5-week course, just to give a breakdown, the students will be able to confidently navigate and customize the Archicad work environment. You will be able to produce accurate architectural floor plans, which is very important in today's world. You'll be able to create intelligent 3D buildings. That is that you'll create from 2D drawings. You realize that we started by doing 2D and then we went to 3D on the same environment. So you're going to be doing that. So you will also be able to model roofs, stairs, railings, and curtain walls. You're also going to be able to develop a site plan and interior layouts, and you'll be able to generate complete construction documentation. That is the sheets, the floor plans, sections, elevations. That is to prepare those drawings for printing. You're also going to prepare your projects for visualization in D5 render. And for this one, personally, I'm going to be showing you how to use this D5 render because it is the tool that I use. And you'll also be able to apply efficient workflows and best practices used in professional architectural offices. So there is the normal use of Archicad. That is how many people use it, and there is the professional use of Archicad. And it trickles down to how efficient those practices make you become, because you realize this method will cost you a lot of time to do. There is an efficient method, so we're going to be looking at that. And you'll also be able to complete a fully documented architectural project ready for presentation, construction, and also maybe for your portfolio. I've realized that most of you maybe are in school and you realize you need to create a portfolio. So I'm going to be taking you through how you can use those documents that you have created in your projects to create a portfolio. Maybe a portfolio is something like this. Let me show, I can try to show a portfolio. Stop sharing and show a portfolio window. Share. So I hope everyone can see my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. So this is what we call a portfolio. A portfolio is where you showcase the works that you have done. So I'm going to be taking you through how to create a portfolio that will help you land a job, maybe a drafting job in the company that you want. So a portfolio is something like this. So how you create something like this and show your project, the projects that you have done. That is after we have done that project that we'll do for presentation. So with that said, that will be all from me for today. And I want to thank you for being here with me and for listening to me. I know it was long, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in class. Thank you, and over to you, Art Captain.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelvin. I know you have to go switch on the online screen recorder so that also your voice is also recorded.
Okay.
I'm quite surprised. I thought I had some basic training or knowledge in Archicad, but seems Niko zero. I'm 10%, and I have 90% to come and catch up with, from our amazing tutor. So I believe everyone has seen that kama nadhani unajua Archicad, there's still a lot of work to do, and especially those from TUK, especially QSs and CMs. Unajua pale, especially CM, you do a lot of Archicad work. So this is a good way in which you can come and ensure that you are up to date, and at least you understand Archicad, because even whatever Kevin has shown you, I'm quite sure that's not entirely up to it because every day there's always something new. There's always a certain trick that you need to even self-teach yourself. So it's a good investment that you can have for yourself, and that is when you enroll with us for the course. The courses are just very affordable for comrades. We came up with the idea of GBA to cater for the comrade and also for the recent graduates because we can all agree these softwares are not taught at school. You self-teach them, and sometimes self-teaching yourself is quite chaotic. Unaingia YouTube unachanganyikiwa, you go maybe to other courses or other institution, but they're offering you pre-recorded. But here in GBA, we just offer you live sessions. You interact with the tutor directly, ask a question to them directly. If you're not understanding, you raise your hand, ask, and you're helped instantly. Unlike where you just have to wait for the tutor to respond, maybe 2 days, 3 days, or going to watch another entire video to understand just a simple concept. Hapa GBA tunakufundisha, unaona, unaelezewa papo hapo, and you also have that project which you are able to do for you to graduate, because you've seen that you'll have that mini project that you'll be working on with that duration to ensure that you understand that whatever you're doing with us. So I will welcome any questions in regards to registration, fees, anything about GBA, anything about the software. Feel free to ask before we go over to the next software, which is D5 render. So unatoka Archicad unaenda D render. So D5 render, yeah. So any questions in regards to Archicad or in regards to GBA, I'll be here to answer them, or our tutor. In the meantime, Mr. Kelvin, you can start preparing for the D5 render presentation.
Okay,
Not
it's
take
it's prepared.
much time. Oh, thank you.
Okay.
So any questions about GBA? Yes, Mr. Yusuf Suma. I believe that's a Tanzanian name.
Thank you so much. I think I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay. My question is about the fees.
Mm-hmm.
On my side, I think um I'm not that poor from week 1 to around week 3. Then from week 3 to week 5 to not week 3, but mhm, yeah, week 1 to week 3. The lessons covered in week 1 to week 3. Thereafter, I think I need to learn. Maybe can I be allowed to pay half the fee? Then I begin from maybe week 4 of the course.
Interesting question. Please ensure you DM me on WhatsApp, and then we can have that conversation that will be subject to a decision by the whole management. I cannot entirely make the decision alone. But please DM me on WhatsApp. We can see on how we can come to an agreement about that. Hatutakosana. Any other person with a question? In GBA in general, you can ask her even about any other software. We'll be sure to answer you. Yes, Mr. Were, I remember you from the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good
Am I
evening.
audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, from the thanks for the wonderful presentation and the insight. I just wanted to confirm: will the two programs be running in parallel, or do you recommend one finishes Archicad, then progresses to D5 render, or how can it work better for people who want to venture into both of them? Thank you.
Okay. The five render will be a free software that will be offering for all those people who will enroll for a course with us. So they'll be running somehow parallel, but not on the same day like we've done today. So the Archicad, there's a timetable shared on the group. Archicad will be running for 2 days a week. 2 hours a session, but you may adjust depending on the how you'll agree with your tutor and the other members of the class. And then for the five render, it will be on the weekends, on Saturdays, or on Sundays, depending on when the class is available and when you want the tutor to be available for you. And also remember, at GBA, you can also schedule for a private session with the tutor in case you missed something that was critical, you are not able to do something. You can schedule for that, and they're able to help you catch up with the rest. So one advantage of GBA. Any other question? Okay, I'll assume there is none. So I'll just okay, Mr. John.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Evening.
Good evening.
Sorry, I just joining now, but I already know I missed everything. But can you give me at least the actual timetable for all the programs?
Are you in our official group? That is GBA Eco Tribe.
Okay.
That's are you in our official group?
Yeah, I already joined it today. I did it today, so I
Okay.
joined it today.
If you are not, here is the link. The timetable is actually there, but I'll resend it still on the same channel.
Okay. So your class is going according to the timetable you're going to send into the group.
Yes. This is not a
Okay.
class. This is
Thank you.
an introductory webinar to show you how we offer the software, what it entails, and how you benefit from enrolling from the class. So this is not a class yet.
Because last day I was in Plum Safety lesson, so I didn't know that the other day it had not been the class for Plum Swift.
Oh,
So I
okay.
I joined it today and I got another thing. So
All right. And then one thing we need to understand about GBA, we only allow one software at a time. You cannot be doing Plan Swift and Archicad at the same time. We do not allow that because we need you to understand. We need you to also have time to do the mini project that you are given. And you running the same the two projects, rather the two softwares at the same time, we feel that will not be quite helpful for you. So that's why we just limit it to one software at a time. So if you're doing Plan Swift, Archicad, maybe you can do in the next cohort.
okay. So the Plum Swift is in another way. So not complete continue with this.
Yes, we are not. They are not
You're
integrated.
not using the same. You're not using the same email. I mean the same link to.
No, no, we are not using the same link. Every class has its own link. For example, for Plan Swift, it's been programmed for the whole duration for the 6 weeks. The same will happen for Archicad. Once we have the class, you are sorted into your respective groups. We'll have a calendar link that will create for all the sessions that will be meeting, and the link that will be using to join the Archicad class.
So today we don't have that Plum Swift lesson
Pardon?
for today.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do the Plum Swift lesson.
No, there is a timetable. Plan Swift is on Tuesdays and on Thursdays. Today's on a Wednesday.
Only.
Yes, 2 days a week. Every software is 2 days a week,
Today,
apart from the D5, which is on Saturdays.
okay, I think that was a misunderstanding between me and you. So I think the Plum Swift, when you say that in 2 weeks, I think is every day for 2 weeks.
No, 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 not every day for 2 weeks. It's 2 days every week for a period of 5 weeks.
Okay, that means it's gonna be that like 5 weeks.
Yes, the program is running for
Um,
5 to 6 weeks.
okay, thanks for that.
All right. Any other question? I'll assume there is none. I'll welcome Mr. Kelvin again to take us briefly through the five render, and I'm hoping that by around 9:15 we'll be done. Over to you, Mr. Kelvin.
Do I really need to introduce myself again? Okay. So let's go to D5 render, and I'm opening my presentation. Maybe window. So I hope everyone can see my screen. Perfect. So let me introduce myself again. My name is Kelvin Monyoro. For those of you who have joined later, my name is Kelvin Monyoro, and I'm an architectural technician, a BIM manager, and an architectural visual artist. And I work closely with the architects to make sure their designs are communicated correctly using floor plans, as we have done in Archicad, and photorealistic renders and video presentation. And that is what we are going to be doing here at D5. So without wasting much time, I'm sure you're not seeing the presentation. Kindly confirm. Okay. Kindly confirm with me that you can see the presentation, because currently it's presented. Oh, there are some people like Yusuf who is saying that they can't see the presentation. Maybe the problem might be on your end. Maybe check on that. So I'm not planning to spend much time here, because I'm sure our time is much spent, and I'm also currently in the office and I want to go home. But I'll do my best to take you through. Yes, we work till late. That is architects. So what do you expect from this presentation? So we are going to do a brief introduction of D5 and samples of works that have been done in D5, just to make you understand what D5 does. And I'm sure, unlike Archicad, most of you have not heard of this software or how it works or what it does. Then after that, I'm going to be taking you through what you expect in week 1. I'm sure you are all aware that we are going to be having one lesson per week. That is on the weekends, maybe on Saturdays or on Sundays. So I'm going to be taking you through what you expect in week 1, or what we are going to be learning on week 1. And week 2 and week 3, week 4 and week 5, and then I'm going to do some thank you, if time will allow. So what is D5 render? What is D5 render? And I want to see by the show of hands, how many of you have heard of D5 render or have seen someone use D5 render? By the show of hands. Nobody. Oh, Nyamao, it's an alien software to you, Nyamao. So that's why GBA is here to make you learn. Yes, you make. Okay, sorry. That's why okay, it's first time to hear such a software. There is always first time for everything, and we learn every day. So what is D5 render? So D5 render is a real-time rendering and visualization software used by architects, interior designers, landscape designers, and 3D artists to create high quality and photorealistic images, animation, and walkthroughs. And just because I've said it is used by architects and interior designers, landscape architects, and you feel like your field is not mentioned, that you can't use the software. These are soft skills, just like using a computer, and you need them. As much as you are in the construction industry, you will get a project that you don't need to hire an interior designer, and you can do it yourself. And you'll save some cash, or you'll get some cash. So it helps you to create photorealistic images and animation and walkthroughs. Maybe most of you have come across videos of projects. Before they are done, you can see how the project will look like in real time, using videos and images. That is done using render engines. And for this case, myself, I use D5 render. So that is what D5 is. And I'm going to proceed to show samples of works that can be done with D5 render. For that, I'm going to be showing 2 projects so that we are on the same page on what we are going to be doing with D5 render. So I'll be sharing my screen on the projects that we have done. I'm going to be using one project, if that is okay. So D5, okay, exterior. So I hope everyone can see my screen in a minute. Window, yes, this window, and share that. So I hope everyone can see my screen now. Perfect. So D5 render enables you to create this photorealistic presentation of such a house. You can't achieve this on basic BIM tools like Archicad. You have to do that in render engines like D5 or Lumion. For this case, you're going to be using D5 render. So you're able to create projects for exterior presentation like these ones. These are basic projects done in Archicad and then rendered in D5. That is one of it. And that's another section of a facade. You see how great things it can do. So these are the kind of projects that you're going to be creating on D5 render. That is for the exterior presentation. And I'm sure maybe you know D5 also does interiors. So I'm going to be showing some interior concepts that I've done with D5 just to show the interior renders. D5 titled and then this. And we're going to be doing this. So I hope everyone can see my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, let me share that again. Now I hope everyone can see my screen. So these are some of the interiors that you can do with D5. It's quite a powerful tool. So you're able to present interiors like this. These are basic kitchen. And I emphasized in the Archicad in the Archicad webinar that I'm going to be spending some time to show you how to design kitchens like these ones. So these are basic render of a kitchen, a basic render of a dining concept. And this is just to show you what you can do with D5. And apart from the picture presentations, maybe I can show you some of the videos that can be done with D5 in a minute before we proceed to the presentation. So in a minute. Sure. So can everyone see my screen now? Perfect. So now this is a video presentation done in D5, and I want you to maybe have a view of what D5 can do. These are video walkthrough. You get clients to see their house before it's built. And all this is work of D5 render. So I'm not going to play the full video because of time, but I hope you can see what D5 can do, and that is what we are going to do in the course. Sorry, I see someone hand is up. Maybe you can ask your question.
Okay, just to ask a question, I'm seeing how you have various objects and they're also colored and all of that. Are those objects, do you place them D5 or you place them using Archicad. For example, I can see on the table you have, is it the plates and that they are colored? So are they from Archicad and then you come color them, or it's D5 that is doing that? The same as things like dispenser, the water and the water, the photos on the walls. Is it D5 or it's from Archicad?
So all of these I've done, most of it I've done it in Archicad. So I import objects. There is a site that we use to import objects from that site. Maybe if I want a dispenser, I'll use a site and download a 3D import that I can put into Archicad, and then I'll link it to D5 and it's visible. But also in D5, you also have these objects like cups and all these things. So you can place them also on D5 render. But for most of the things, you'll have to download them. But I'm going to be taking them through the sites that you get all these all these things, how you download them and how you assign material to it. Because you realize you have to assign materials to these plates and cups. So that is how I input those things. I hope I've answered your question, Captain. Perfect. Now, I'm not going to play the full video because we have a presentation to do. So I'm going to go back to the presentation to take you through what we are going to be covering. And in a minute, stop presenting. And window share screen. So I hope now everyone can see my screen. We are back to the presentation. So after seeing the works that D5 can do, then we go to what we expect to learn in the first week. We understand that we have 5 lessons in those 5 weeks, and we have a lot to cover in those 5 lessons. So in week 1, you will learn, we will introduce D5 and its features. And you're also going to learn about real-time rendering. What do I mean by real-time rendering? The moment you're working on Archicad, and this time because I use Archicad, I'm going to be referencing Archicad. So when you're working with Archicad and you're rendering, you need to have that connection between the two software. You work in real time. So I'm going to be taking you through understanding real-time rendering, so that the changes that you make on Archicad will reflect on D5 render. So that is what we learn in week 1. We're also going to be learning about how to install the software. Maybe I'll make a video on how to install the software before we get to the actual classes, because I understand that we have very minimal time. So I'll create a video for the course of this week and share it with that captain. I'm sure he'll share it to you on how to install the software, so that when we are going to be starting the lessons, you'll have your softwares installed. So I'm going to also talk about the system requirements on the software, what you need, the system requirements on your laptop, because it's quite a heavy software. And also on the same lesson, we are going to be learning about the user interface. And maybe because time is not allowing, I will not open a sample project in D5. We are going to do that in the first lesson. So I'm going to be taking you through the user interface and workspace overview of D5. Okay, please talk about the requirements today to Jipang. So D5 Render is a very GPU intensive software. So you require a laptop with GPU, with a GPU, for those of you who know GPU. So just that. If your laptop has a GPU, it should be able to run D5. Oh, you're wondering, a GPU. How do you check that? So you'll go to your machine, and maybe I'll create a video on how to check that. You'll go to your machine about, and you'll see if you have a GPU installed. So I'll do a video on that, on how to check if your machine can work with D5, but all the same. These things also work in trial and error. You can try installing it even in your laptop and you see if it will work. For most laptops, it will work. It should work. Even if it might not allow you to render the highest quality, but you learn the basics with it. Storage requirements, maybe a basic RAM of maybe 8 GB RAM and some storage because it's a heavy software. Maybe if you have some empty space of around, let's say 50 GB, it should run smoothly. But now you'll make sure you don't run them concurrently with other software. Maybe you just have to run Archicad and D5. 50 GB, yeah, yes. I'm guessing that most of the laptops have 256 GB, so you need to spare some storage for that. But we'll see what works. But all the same, that does not limit you from joining the classes, because all these you can learn even by viewing. So it's an added advantage if you are joining the classes, even if your machine is not, you get to see how it's done, because all of this is more the same of how we navigate in Archicad. And it's free. Yeah, and it's very free, by the way, it's free. So you lose nothing by joining the classes. So without wasting much time for this cohort. So at Captain, I had to make this clear for this cohort only. So you have to take advantage of that and learn. So after that, we are going to be learning about navigation, control, and viewpoint management. And just as I said in Archicad, there are those views in your project that you want to emphasize in maybe the facade. You want to show that. I'm going to be showing you how to just focus on that and add the best materials on that, setting up those views. So after that, I'm going to be teaching you how to import those models that we create. Maybe for the people who will apply for Archicad, I'm going to be teaching you how to import that model that you created in Archicad to D5. Then I'm going to be teaching you about, again, the most important thing you have to learn. That is project organization and file management. Because in D5, unlike Archicad, you can't retrieve your files if you have lost them. So you'll need to keep on saving your work. So I'm going to be taking you through that. So also on week 1, we're going to be understanding materials. You realize that these are visualization software, so you need to learn about how to apply different materials in different objects. So you're going to be learning about how you work with that. And you're going to be learning how to create scenes. And scenes is just a different name for views. So if I want to show a front facade, I'll create a scene for that and work on that. So that is what you're going to be covering in lesson 1, that is on week 1. And on week 2, we are going to be diving in on materials, assets, and scene creation. That is more of scene creation. What will you learn? You will be learning about applying and editing materials. Maybe you want to put tiles on your wall. How do you put that tiles? How do you make that tile look realistic? We are also going to be learning about working with texture. So I am sure most of you know what texture is. Texture is the feel and touch of an object. Maybe in a software you can't see that, you can't feel that, but there is a way you can work with a software and make sure that you show that roughness in the material. And that's very important because it makes your render look very realistic. We're also going to be learning about how to use the material library. That is the things that at Captain is asking about. How do I input those caps? And they're all found in the material library. How you import them to your project and all that. Then after that, we are going to be learning about how to add vegetation. From the project that I've shown you, you have seen there is vegetation, there is furniture, there is vehicles, and there is people, just to make that project look realistic. So we are going to be learning about that. Also, we are going to be learning about how to do landscape, and more of that will be done on Archicad. So In Archicad, we'll do the landscape and then we'll enhance it in D5. And then you're going also to be doing the terrain creation and editing it. We're also going to be creating realistic outdoor environments, such as the pools. I'm sure I've shown you a view of a pool, a swimming pool that I've created. So we are going to be doing that in the projects. Then after that, we are going to be learning how to optimize assets for better performance. They are practices that make your workflow easy. So we are going to be learning about that also. So on week 3, we are going to learn about lighting and camera positioning. And I always say that designing is something that makes you learn about a lot of things, because these are things related to photography, but you are a designer and you need to present your projects in a better way. So you need to learn about these things. So you will be learning about the fundamentals of lighting in Archicad. How do you do lighting, the interior lighting? How do you do the outside lighting? That is the natural sunlight and sky settings. How do you utilize the HDRI environments? That is you can decide to do a project in a desert. That is an environment, a different environment to a project done maybe in the highlands or in the mountains. So we'll be learning how to do that. We're going to be doing artificial lighting, maybe the downlighters, the bulbs, how to light them, the strip lights. All these are things that make your project look realistic. We're also going to be learning about interior lighting. You have seen from the projects that I've shown you, we have done some interior lighting, how to do interior lighting, the downlighters, the chandeliers, how do you make them light, how do you show them, how do you do materials for them, and all that. Then we are going to be doing balancing exposure and white balance. And this is very important, because if you miss this, your renders will look blurry or even overlit, if I may say. Ile yenye tunasemaga hii picha imechomeka. So you need to look at that balancing exposure and white balance. So after that, we're going to be doing camera positioning, because even as you show your presentation, you need to position your camera well to show that house well. You see those postures that you see your camera people using, you need to use them in the software though. So we're going to be learning also how to create realistic perspectives. We're also going to be learning about focal length. I'm sure all of these things, most of you had them in physics in high school, but you're going to be going through them. We're also going to be learning about doing weather. Maybe you want your render to be on a rainy day, you can do that on D5. We're also going to be looking at that. And all these, if I can mention, we are going to be doing it on the project that we created in Archicad. For those who will not be in Archicad, maybe you look for a project that we will import. We'll share a project that will import in D5. And I'm mentioning Archicad because this is a great motivator for you to join Archicad, because these two softwares are related. You work in Archicad, you import to D5. So you need to look at that. So on week 4, we are going to be learning how to create photorealistic renders. What will you learn in week 4? You're going to learn about render settings and quality optimization. You have heard about picture quality, maybe 2K, 4K, 3K, not 3K, 6K, and you wondered what that is. We are going to be learning about that and what difference it makes in your projects. So after that, we are going to be doing post-processing. There's the renders that you do in D5, but after that, you have to enhance them a little bit to make them look realistic. We're also going to be learning about color correction, how you correct your colors if you realize that maybe you produced a render and at one side ilichomeka, you need to correct that. We are going to be learning about that. So we are going also to be learning about doing some reflection and shadow, and all this is to make your render look realistic. All these small things are the ones that contribute to making your render look realistic. They will not look like AI. You know, there are these people who are producing renders with AI, and it's a good thing, but now with D5, you can do a better one, better than AI. Or maybe you can do a workflow. Maybe you produce your render in D5 and maybe enhance it in AI. That's a good one. So we are going to be looking at that. We're also going to be adding decors to surfaces, and we are also going to be rendering exterior scenes and rendering interior scenes. I'm also going to be teaching you how to export high quality still images. Those are the views that you create in D5 render. So after that, in week 5, that is the last week, we are going to be doing most of the animation and video production, like the video I've shown you in the presentation that I've shown you. You are going to be learning about how to create that. So you'll be learning to create camera paths, keyframe. All these I'll go through it in the lessons, walkthroughs and fly through. You can create some drone shots using D5 render, and they turn out quite nice. So I'm going to be creating animation. I'm going to be teaching you how to create animation, people that are walking in your videos, just to make it realistic. And then I'm going to be teaching you how to do video renders, to do high-end video renders. Then after that, we're going to be learning about how to export high-quality videos in your in your projects. Then I'm going to be touching on the best practices for client presentations. What are the things to show to clients? What are the things to show to clients to impress them to buying your projects? Then after all that is done, we are going to do a final project from the project that you carried on, again, from Archicad or maybe from Revit. You carried from Revit, produce a complete photorealistic render and an animated walkthrough. That is a video. That will be the final project after we have completed the lessons. So that is all for D5 render, what we are going to be covering. And again, is to thank you for listening to me. And I'm looking forward to seeing most of you who are in this session to my classes, and we'll have a good time. Thank you, and back to you at Captain.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelvin, for taking us through the whole two softwares, and also for sticking within the time frames. Yeah, I did not want us to extend too much, and it's night time, and we also need to do other stuff. I will welcome any questions before I acknowledge the partners that we have in the call. JB, we have some partners, and it's courteous enough to also acknowledge them when they are here, because sometimes they usually have good news for you. When I tell you the registration fee is 4K, the partner can come and tell you, no, it's not 4K. You can use my promo code and maybe get a discount. So before them, any person with a question, comments, yeah, let me even welcome comments and all of that. Okay, I'll take the silence as there is none. So I'll welcome our partners. I don't know if they're in the call. Any representative from ICAS? ICAS took. I guess they might have dropped. CSA took. I guess I had seen the president of CSA in the call, unless they left. Okay, I'm not seeing them. Any representative? Okay, seems they might have dropped off. Maybe ni wale watu wa if it's 9, it's 9. It's also understandable. And if you also have an organization that, especially the student organizations, those are whatever we target mainly, you can always reach out and we can explore on areas that we can have a partnership and the benefits that your members can have from GBA, the discounts, the promo code you get, and all of that. So, in case you also have a student organization, you can always enroll or reach out to me and we can talk about the partnership that we may establish between us and your organization for the mutual benefits of both organizations. Yes, all our softwares are 4K, that is 4,000 Kenyan shillings, which translates to around, is it 31 USD? Once you enroll, you'll okay, not automatically, you receive your invoice within 2 to 3 days and you're able to proceed after you make the payments. So for all those people who had enrolled, there are some of you had sent the invoices. You can feel free to make your payments, and then we'll have you added to the official class group where all communications in regards to Archicad will be happening. Yes, Mr. Martin.
Okay, good evening.
Evening.
I have a question for Kelvin, but I think someone had asked the question, but I think at some point he was breaking, so I did not get the answer. You were talking about D5 and Archicad, about importing the model. Is it only applicable to Archicad, or you can use other softwares? Because for a person like me, I'm very conversant with Revit, and I also use Archicad, but not to a greater extent as Revit. So is it possible to also import the model from Revit to D5?
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, Gesharu Martin, I was out kidogo. Maybe you can repeat your question.
I was asking, for much of the session, you mentioned about D5 and importing the models from Archicad. And I was asking if is it compatible with other softwares as well? Because I know some people here might be conversant with other softwares like Revit or AutoCAD and so on and so forth. So
Yes, Gisharu Martin. It's very possible to import your 3D models from Revit, from even other softwares, even from SketchUp to D5. So when you link, you create a link in Revit, you can be able to link it to D5. So I'm just not conversant very well on how we link it from Revit to D5. Maybe we can find out, but it's very much possible, very much possible.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Haya, challenge kwako Mr. Kelvin. Ujue how to also import from other softwares, e.g. Revit, SketchUp, and the rest. Any more question? Okay, I'm not seeing any question, but I'm seeing President CSA has joined us, so I'll welcome her briefly for 2 minutes at most to tell us something in regards to GBA CSA partnership, pia wengine you start thinking of such. Welcome, Madam President.
All right. Thank you so much, Captain. Good evening, everyone. I hope you are all keeping well. My name is Hadassah Kibet. I'm a QS student at the Technical University of Kenya. I also serve as the president of Construction Students Association. And I would love to say that, GBA is doing such a great work. I think these were some of the initiatives we really wanted to spearhead at CSA, and this partnership has really helped us out. I'm glad to see that some CSA students are even on board in here present. I can see Bonnie. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, GBA, for having us on board. CSA is a construction students body based at the Technical University of Kenya, encompassing the 4 courses which are QS, real estate, building construction technology, and construction management. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to having a fruitful partnership with GBA. The session has been really nice. Apologies have been in and out, but I think what I gathered is sufficient for the day. Thank you so much once more for having us, GBA. We still have our promo code CSA, and if you'd love to know more about CSA, the Construction Students Association at TUK, you can visit our website, csa.kenya.org. Thank you so much and have a lovely night. Back to you, Captain.